Hello and welcome everyone. This is Phoenix with your Patriot Health Report for the weekend of October 19th, 2024. All the health facts you need to know for the Patriot on the go. Hope you guys are doing well. And of course, Bob Gilpatrick is joining us today. Yes, he survived the big storm down in Florida. Bob will fill us in on that. And today's topic is the Age of Immortality. Ooh. Pretty interesting title, huh? What does that mean? We'll stick around. Bob will fill us in on that. And let's get right into it and bring in Bob Gilpatrick of Boomers Forever Young. Bob, how are you? I'm so glad to hear that everything is somewhat stable down there. Why don't you give us an update on how it's been going, how the storm fared, and the status of what's going on right there in your area, so people know, because I have had a lot of listeners contact me and say, man, is Bob okay? What's going on, so this you can give everybody an update so we know what's happening.
Sure. Well, thanks, Phoenix. I'm glad to be on again. And these two storms that hit the Tampa area of Florida, and it's not just Tampa area, it was from, down by Naples all the way up to Tallahassee between the two storms. And they were the two worst storms to hit this area in 100 years. So they were within 10 days of each other, the two worst storms in modern history that anybody could remember that is alive around here happened. And so it's a very strange phenomenon. The first storm, there's lots of flooding, and it ended up with about 30 to 40,000 houses just in my county that had all their stuff that was on their first floor or their garage ruined, and they were in giant piles. Everybody had to push everything out into their front yards to get, so they could start work on removing the drywall and rugs and everything. And then the second storm, the storm surge wasn't as bad, but it rained 18 inches and it also had 100-mile-an-hour winds. And so lots of trees came down because the soaking of the ground, and then the wind blew the trees over, and lots of brush everywhere. And so all of that got piled on top of the piles that were already there. So it looks apocalyptic with all this debris. It looks like there was a nuclear war,
Wow.
And so that part is being, slowly each day it gets cleaned up, but it's going to be many months before all those piles have found a home in a dump somewhere, and so we took on water in the first storm, just from wind-driven rain, but it didn't cause any damage because we were home and we were able to sop it up and keep ahead of it. And then the second storm we left because it was predicted to possibly be a Category 4 direct hit, like literally right on top of our condominium. So we left and came back a week later. And in my condo, the side that I live on was fine, but on the other side, about 400 condos on the other side of my building got totally soaked from top to bottom.
Oh, wow.
And they're in the process of replacing everything in those condos from the floors up to the ceilings.
I know some of these are not ground floor; they're multiple floors high. How did that happen? Did windows blow in? How did that water get in? People knew storms were coming.
It got in two different ways. One is through the sliding glass doors. So sliding glass doors, even the most hurricane resistant, tightest sliding glass doors allow water in from wind-driven rain. So this was 100-mile-an-hour winds and 18 inches of rain that just drove itself against those windows. And then in addition, a corner of the roof got ripped up by the wind, and all that rain came into the building. And so it came down from top to bottom from the 18th floor down. And then all the rain also came in.
Wow.
So it was a complete drenching on the east side of the building. And our side just got minor damage, a couple bubbles of paint, here and there. And, some of the baseboard is kind of cracked, but nothing, nothing significant. And believe it or not, all through that, the building did not lose power.
That's crazy.
So,
That's amazing. Of
yeah,
course, it was underground power the way it should be. The reason we have such problems here in the United States is we have third world country infrastructure. Bob, you know what I'm talking about. You've traveled abroad. The only place you see wires hanging, I mean, I'm looking at a window right now. I see a telephone pole, which is nothing more than a tree trunk with the bark removed. A tree trunk, everyone, like a caveman would use, okay, or a tribesman with wires hanging off of it. You have transformers up in the air. And if you look at photographs, Bob, back when electricity was first being introduced into the cities, it looks just like it does today. Poles with these dangling wires and all of this. But if you travel like into Europe and most places, you don't see any of that because they realize that's not a safe place for them. The safest place is to put them shielded underground, and they go to the expense to do that. And so they don't suffer from things like this. I mean, the fact that we have literally, I mean, and other places you do see it. If you go down to Central America and different places, you'll see exactly what you see in the United States. This outdated infrastructure. But it's amazing that your building didn't lose power. That's crazy.
yeah, yeah. A lot of other places are still without power. Still lots of trees down on top of power lines that have yet to be removed. So that'll be a while. But in general, we're in cleanup mode and restoration mode right now. A lot of contractors cleaning out trees that have fallen over and got damaged, and also demolition and restoration and detoxification teams and dehumidifiers. It's quite an amazing sight to see. It was very damaging couple of hurricanes, and a lot of people very traumatized by getting hit like that twice in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but hopefully that's the end of the hurricanes for the next 100 years that are that severe, and on we go.
Well, what about give us an update on your business? A lot of people were concerned. You
Yeah,
did put out, if you're on the email list, everyone, you did get your notification from boomers about possible delays in the storm and everything.
yep, yep.
But, what's the current status and what was result of that? Because I know that your brick and mortar business, is not that far from where you live. So what's up with that?
Yeah. So the we made out really well. There was no trees that came down on our building. We have a brand new roof that's less than 6 months old. They'd only had one tiny leak in it, and none of that rainwater got into our building. None of the storm surge got into our building. We're at 19 feet above sea level where we are. We're right in the middle of the peninsula. So there's, 8 miles on either side of us before you get to the water. And so we were really lucky. We didn't have any damage to any of our products or any of our infrastructure in terms of, the electric or anything like that. So we're all caught up on shipping. I talked, to our shipping manager just a few minutes before coming on, and he's all caught up with everything. And, it's all good. And people are back to work full time, and everybody's okay.
Very good. Do you have anything else about the business you want to share before we get rolling on today's topic? Specials, I don't know, any information or
Yeah,
news?
yeah, yeah. Actually, we're running a promotion right now, Phoenix, for till the end of October here in 2024. And what we're doing is we're giving people an opportunity to save on some additional money if they want to put their product onto auto ship, or as sometimes called a subscription program. And essentially what that means is you find a product you like and you want to take it every month. Well, products generally get packaged in a 1 month supply, so you're going to want to get one coming each month. And people might say, oh, well, then I got to pay to get it shipped every month. Why don't I just buy 3 or 4 at once? But you get free shipping when you're on the auto ship program. You also get a 10% discount when you're on the auto ship program. And additionally, you can use your points. So when people buy products, they build up points that can be used to get a discount on their next product. And you can do all of that. And so when you look at the price of a product and you say, oh, well, I don't know if I could spend that much, you have to say, okay, well, I'm going to save on the shipping, I'm going to save the discount for auto ship, and I'm going to, build up points that I can use, and now it's affordable. Well, for the next couple of weeks here, we're going to increase the auto ship for people that put something new on auto ship, or they're a new customer coming on to auto ship. That 10% discount you normally get is going to be 20% for the next 2 months. So you're going to save 20% for the next 2 months. And um, we really want to try to get as many people onto the auto ship program as we can, because Shopify, which is our platform that hosts our website, they're changing a bunch of things for the better, and it makes it really, really easy for customers to use the auto ship program to make any changes or cancellations or additions to it and to use their points. They've simplified the whole thing so the customer is like the center focus, where they can get the best discounts with the least hassle. And so that system is now being switched over. So we're giving people this incentive for the next couple of weeks. It's
Yeah.
really good opportunity to really save a substantial amount of money.
Now, is that valid for all products like boomers,
Yep,
barley, Myatrol,
yep,
all those?
yep. Yeah, as long as it's something new. So are a, if you're a customer that's already on the auto ship program, you're going to continue to get your 10%. But if you say, well, I'd like to add some ashwagandha onto my auto ship, that ashwagandha is going to be 20% off for 2 months.
Wow, very
So
cool.
it's for new stuff. It's for new stuff, not what you've already been doing.
Okay, and that's only for the subscription people because
Yeah.
I'm not on the subscription. But I tell you what, you're a good salesman. You just sold me because I'm getting low on boomers, and I'm like, oh
Yeah, yeah.
man, I got to order some boomers. And I did not. I mean, I saw that you were doing some specials, but
Yep.
that explains it very well. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
in within
Yeah. If you do that based on, the free shipping, the 20% discount, and any points that you might have built up, you probably save over $30 on one canister.
very cool.
Yep.
Well, I tell you what, I'm all for saving money, and yeah, you'll probably have another auto ship customer here before the end of the day. I'm telling you right now, if we get done in time.
Okay.
But anyway,
Well,
that's
if you
really
get it
cool.
in before 3:30, it might even go in the mail today.
Oh my God. Okay, let's get going.
Depends
Come on,
what
Bob.
time the mailman shows up to collect all the packages.
Okay, dude, let's get going. Let's get going here. We got an interview to do. No, only kidding. What else do you? We're always preset for an hour, everyone. So I'm just
Yeah,
joking
yeah.
there. What else is going on? Anything else to share before we get into it?
Well, it's very interesting. Going back to when we first started the business 13 years ago, many people started using different products of ours. And the one that's the most popular is the combination of Boomer Boost and barley, whether it's heirloom barley or gladiator barley. And that's what the most packages that go out from our fulfillment center have a barley and a Boomer Boost in it. And that's been true for a long time. And now that we recently got our Myatrol product, that has come up almost to the same level in less than 6 months. It's come up almost to the level of the people using barley and Boomer Boost. And the reason is that it's working so well that the word of mouth spreads really fast. And I mean, immediately when we started getting it to people, you would think with a brand new product that's going to help with energy and muscle, you'd be waiting to hear for 2 or 3 months how it's working. We're getting testimonials from people who are like, yeah, it worked the first day. It worked 2 days later. And we had this one guy that was talking about, playing pickleball. He was a 79-year-old. He was talking about playing pickleball, and he would normally play for 2 hours in the afternoon. Well, he decided to start playing in the morning also. And with his Myotrol, it turned out he could play for 3 hours in the morning plus 2 hours in the afternoon.
Oh, wow.
79-year-old man,
Oh, that's
right?
cool.
And we've got, I have to say 60 or 70 people have written in testimonials, and people, this one lady's talking about, being a realtor, and she's 71 years old, and um, there was there was a property she had to show somebody, and it was a mile off of the road and a steep hike up that 1 mile to show these buyers this property. And she said that by taking the Myotrol, she was able to keep right up with these much younger people, and has now started working out more with all of her energy, and she's getting up and going on her rebounder and working out at 5:30 in the morning.
Wow, very
It's
good.
like, and it's partly this type of testimonial, Phoenix, that inspired me to have the topic that we're going to have today, because this is unusual to have a product. I've never seen anything like this in the 40 plus years that I've been in the business of aging, where you have old people that are 70 plus, some of them in their mid 80s, that are reporting how they are completely revitalized by this product. And it's not steroids, it's not testosterone or anything like that. It's all, polyphenols. And so it's very exciting to see. And so I wanted to talk today about what things were like in the field of aging and anti-aging back in the 80s when I first started as a professor of gerontology at Pace University, and then what I've seen over these last 37 years and what's changed since then, and why it is that we are optimistic that there are people who are alive right now that are taking advantage of the new things that we don't know if they're going to stay in what appears to be suspended animation. Because when you look at people today that are using the anti-aging products that are available, they seem to have de-aged, and they seem to be not aging anymore from that new younger point. Now, we don't know what's going to happen 20 years from now, 40 years from now, if those people will age, right? We're not sure. We're not sure if we've already have created immortality, just because you can only look at biomarkers that say that they're not aging, but we don't know for sure yet, right? Seeing is
Mm-hmm.
believing.
Yes.
30, 40 years from now, if these 80-year-old women that are taking Myotrol and Gladiator barley, if they're still feeling as young as when they were 20 and they're looking younger, then we're starting to get a clue as to where we are. But for all we know, we're there right now, this minute, based on blood work that people can see and that type of thing.
That's funny. Some I have to tell you, I'm going to throw you off topic here real quick. For some reason, whenever you were talking about that, you didn't know how like these elderly women will be years from now, and for some reason, you remember there used to be a sport. I mean, some people listening to this will remember, some won't. It was like really bizarre. It was called roller derby, right? And it was usually groups of women on roller skates, and they had a track they went around. And it was
Yeah,
like, well, remember that? It was like a rough sport, and it would knock
yeah.
you. And I just imagine seeing, they were announcing this group of roller derby women. They were the grappling grannies, and they were out there like, oh, like smashing these young girls around. I don't know. You got to forgive me. Sometimes my mind wanders when you're like talking about things, these descriptive
Ah,
things. Sorry about that.
okay.
Okay.
All right. Well, that's good. Why don't maybe we could work on starting a roller derby league
Oh my
for
God.
Myotrol users.
Well, I tell you what, down in Florida, you guys have all kinds of like high lie and all kinds of crazy things going on. So dog racing. So yeah, let's reinvigorate roller derby. How about that?
There you go.
There we go. Oh my God. Sponsored by Boomers Forever Young. Anyway,
There we go.
okay. Sorry, Bob.
It's, yeah, no worries. It's, no worries. What were we talking about?
The grappling grannies. Oh no, no, no. We're talking about living almost eternally. So please continue. Sorry, I won't take you off track again for at least another 2 minutes. So go ahead.
So yeah, so back in 1987, when I got out of graduate school, I I started teaching at Pace University in New York, and I was a professor of gerontology, an adjunct professor, and we taught classes on the biology of aging, the psychology of aging, the sociology of aging, and it was kind of just observational information that we were teaching about, but mostly it was about changes as we age that were negative. So people are going to get heart disease, have a stroke, they're going to, get osteoporosis and fracture their hip, and this is how people age. And the psychology of aging is that people are going to get depressed as they get older, and they're going to get dementia, which is going to lead to psychosis. And the sociology was all about nursing homes and loneliness and that type of thing. And there wasn't a lot of information about what to do about any of those things. But also, right around that time is when a book came out that was called Life Extension, and it was subtitled a scientific approach. It was Dirk Pearson and Sandy Shaw wrote this book, and mostly it was about vitamins and minerals and some antioxidants. And that I read that book right when it first came out and became interested in it. And that's when I really started following with what could be done to age more slowly or to be healthier along the path of aging. And some new books started to come out. There was a book written for women that was called Growing Older, Getting Better, and a book for men called The Seasons of a Man's Life. And these were textbooks in my graduate studies. And they were just coming out around that time, but there wasn't anything really like definitive that you could do to help with your aging process. And then things really started to change. They really got to begin to understand how it was that people were aging from oxidation, for example. So if you're teaching the biology of aging, the first what they used to call a theory of aging, which is now proven phenomena, was the oxidation theory of aging, that where it's simply that human beings are aerobic life, and we produce caustic compounds that degrade our body over time, very similar to a log that's burning in a fire. And eventually that log becomes smoke and ash. And now we know that just like wood, there are people who are aging, and there's people who are aging, just like there is, you know, dried out poplar wood that's going to go up in flames really quickly and not last very long. And there's also shagbark hickory and walnut that will burn for a very, very long time and very efficiently. And so when they first started coming out with antioxidants that were powerful, such as, the extract from the maritime pine and that they called pycnogenol, and other extracts from grape skin and other things that they commonly referred to as proanthocyanins, this was really the first time where the scientists were saying, if you take this stuff by mouth, then you're going to slow your rate of oxidative aging. And then later on, they actually came up with blood tests for it. And this was based on medical issues where people would get very high inflammation from things like the flu or an intestinal infection. And they used this CRP test, which was a test of inflammation, as a marker to see if maybe you had an infection. But it turns out later that that same CRP test, which is measuring your inflammation, is a really excellent measure of how fast you're aging. And based on that test, along with numerous other tests that are done by life insurance companies, the life insurance companies can tell from their examination before they'll give you your policy when you're going to die within 3 months. And doesn't matter how old you are, they know when you're going to die. And there's a man who's on television now and all over podcasts and different programs who used to work for the life insurance companies and saw how they analyzed this. And he has a whole show that he does talking about that and talking about what you can do about it. Right. And it's fairly effective. There are certain things that he's not aware of yet that could make his protocol even more effective. And if he ever reaches out to me, I'll let him know about those things. But essentially, nowadays, what you can eliminate the oxidative theory of aging from your life, right? You no longer have to burn your body up faster than it's repairing itself. And before the discovery of the antioxidant, phenomena, there was the discovery of enzymes. And enzymes perform many different functions. People normally think of them as digestive enzymes, enzymes that'll digest fats, proteins, carbohydrates. That's really important as we age, because if you stop producing a lot of those enzymes and you don't digest your food properly, you can't absorb the nutrients from undigested food, and it passes out of your body and your nutrition goes way down and you age faster as a result. But there's also the discovery of what are called metabolic enzymes, and they've been able to trace the whole phenomena of life on Earth back to the first metabolic enzymes. And when the Earth was first created, you had elemental properties. You had hydrogen, helium, carbon, iron, etc. And there wasn't any life, so to speak, that you could identify as organic life or organic compounds, right? But somewhere along the way, and this is where the philosophy and religion and biology seem to meet, because seemingly out of nowhere, these tiny atoms started to form themselves into enzymes. And enzymes had a unique quality where they could help to glue other molecules together. And something happened that started gluing atoms and molecules together that created these enzymes, which were then in turn really, really great at helping with glue, being glue. And nobody really knows why the very first enzyme got created. There's some mysterious force that kind of drew these enzymes out of the ether, out of the soup of individual atoms, and it was what gave rise billions of years ago to the first more complex molecules that later got assembled into living beings. And so when people talk about religion and how God created life, somehow God had a force that said, hey, we're going to make enzymes now. And it by tracing back, to all these billions of years to in regard to the creation of enzymes, that is what gave rise to life. But those enzymes weren't even known to exist until recently. And now, guess what? We can do now, Phoenix, is we can get metabolic enzymes from plants and put them into a powder form and dissolve them in water and drink them and bring forth this enhancement of life of our own physical body by ingesting these metabolic enzymes, which are the same for the most part in plants as they are in humans.
Hmm.
And and so we hear about people who are bodybuilders who are building up their body, right? And what they do mostly is they take in extra protein, right? And the protein gets digested down into amino acids because the protein that comes from plants and that comes from animal sources is not human protein and it can't be used. But the enzymes are the same. So when you take in extra enzymes, all of a sudden now that digested protein can be quickly and easily assembled no matter how old you are. Because as you age, your body makes less and less of these metabolic enzymes. You have a genetic code for about 10,000 different ones. But as you age, you make less. But now in 2024, we can actually ingest those same metabolic enzymes so that it keeps that level high for many, many more decades than used to be possible. And this really has only become really viable about 15 to 20 years ago. And so now we know exactly how proteins get created. Human beings are protein making machines. And that's the essence of our life is we've created these amazing bodies, which are essentially a nervous system, a brain, a spinal cord, and peripheral nerves that that have all around it created protection. So a skull to protect the brain, bones, muscles, and skin to protect the rest of it. And a nervous system has to have nutrients and oxygen. Every nerve cell needs oxygen and needs nutrients. So God created a circulatory system for us, and our heart beats and our capillaries open and close. And now our nervous system can flourish, and essentially, we are beings who are walking around and moving around with muscle and bone and blood and lymph and cerebral spinal fluid in order to move our nervous system from one place to the next. And our eyes are part of the nervous system, and all of our experiences that we hear and see and feel on our skin are all being transported to the nervous system for processing and consciousness and experience itself. And so essentially what we're doing with anti-aging is we're trying to preserve the nervous system that is being transported around in our bodies. So if you really want to know about your physical essence, just imagine looking out in front of you and seeing only a brain with a spinal cord and all these little filaments of peripheral nerves that are sticking out. That's you. That's who human beings are. You're that nervous system. And everything else is meant to nourish it, protect it, and move it around to go from place to place.
That you just described like an alien in some type of biological craft moving around is so weird.
Yeah.
Happy Halloween, everybody. It's October. Bob threw a Halloween thing out there for you. That's really fascinating descriptor. And I tell you what, everyone, if you have a vivid imagination like me, you're probably like, oh, my God, what he just said. That's pretty cool. I could see that in a movie. Oh, my God. It kind of reminds me of that movie. It was a comedy. What was it? When Mars Attacks, where it's like they're basically like giant brains with eyes, inside the helmets. Anyway. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
See,
that's us.
Yeah. I refrained from interrupting you for a while. So anyway, okay, back to topic. But I couldn't resist. You're just freaking me out. Every once in a while, Bob, I say every once in a while, almost every time we do a recording, dude, you say something that just absolutely freaks me out. Sometimes I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But anyway, please continue. Really, really good topic so far, thus far. Please continue.
Yeah, so this whole concept of the antioxidants is for preservation, because about 50% of why we age is from this oxidation, right? And so you had, the discovery of the different antioxidants, and then different companies started producing ingestible antioxidants. Now you can even go and get IVs that are antioxidants. Light and ultrasound and PEMF, electromagnetic fields, are also antioxidants. But for the most part, it's ingestion. And so in order to do this in a way that maximizes your longevity, you either want to know something about what the molecules are that are causing this degrading, and you want to know what the molecules are that negate it. All right. So, for example, the main oxidating compound in the human body is called superoxide, and it's two oxygen molecules bonded together with a mineral that's part of it, and it's very volatile, and it combines with parts of your cells and it destroys your body over time. Your body makes an enzyme called superoxide dismutase, which one of its main jobs is to watch for these superoxide molecules that manifest out of aerobic life, and they combine with them and neutralize them before they can cause damage. And without your body making SOD, superoxide dismutase, you would age and die very quickly. 4, 5, 6, 7 years, you'd be dead, right? But in general, people will live to be about 85 before they've burnt themselves up, right? But now we know that superoxide dismutase is present in plants at certain stages of their development, and can be harvested from those plants, preserved, and put into a powder that you can drink. And boy, you better watch out because stuff is really, really strong. And SOD also helps to detoxify your body. And you have to take this product in very small amounts at the beginning so you don't detoxify too fast. Your liver, your kidneys, your lymph, your skin can only detoxify so much at a time without getting overpowered and damaged. And so whenever you're dealing with something that detoxifies your body, whether it's zeolite or glutathione or SOD, you want to start slow and very slowly detoxify your body before you can start taking larger amounts. And we provide that SOD molecule to people in our barley products. It's in Gladiator barley and it's in heirloom barley in very large amounts. And your measure of inflammation will go down substantially when you start taking that product. And so you can look at your blood work and say, okay, my CRP, my C-reactive protein, the measure of inflammation, which is causing most of my aging, on the scale of 1 to 30, 3 is the average, right? So 30 is off the charts, you're aging real fast. 3 is the average person, and without ever getting sick, you're going to die approximately when you're 85 years old. It's called the median maximum lifespan. So you can look at that number and go, oh, it's a 3. Boy, I wish it was a lot lower so I could live a lot longer and not have adult onset diseases that are caused by inflammation, such as heart disease, stroke, cancer, diabetes, Alzheimer's disease, etc. Right? And so you can now, here in 2024, you can ingest superoxide dismutase and watch that number come down over time. And in some cases, it will come down by a factor of 30 or more, meaning it'll go from a 3 down to less than 0.1, where they won't even really be able to measure it, right? And we have customers, Phoenix, that has happened to them.
Right? It's amazing.
And they get their CRP tested every time they go to their doctor.
Now, the CRP, that's a specific test you have to ask for, correctly?
Yes. Yeah. The only time they would really do it is if you had an infection or they thought you might have an infection, they would check it because infections make it go way up. And but in general, if you're going for your regular checkup, you have to ask for your CRP. Right? Now, there are other things also, Phoenix, that are oxidizing, that are also what are called free radicals, and there are other different agents that cleave those or neutralize them. So one is homocysteine. A lot of doctors will say, all right, we need to check your homocysteine because you got something going on, with your liver like this, right? And that homocysteine is also measuring inflammation, okay? But we know that there is a compound, it's called trimethylglycine, that when you take it in by mouth, it will go and cleave that homocysteine into 2 separate amino acids, both of which are good for you. And so the people that are into this antioxidant, endeavor to slow their aging want to also be able to take in trimethylglycine, right? Glutathione is another one. The compounds, the polyphenols that are in the maritime pine, the bark of the maritime pine, and also the polyphenols that are in grape skin extract and things like that. Those can be taken in also to reduce inflammation, but also common things people have heard of: vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin E, selenium, zinc. These compounds also have antioxidant effect. And so the reason that our dynamic combo of Boomer Boost and barley is so popular, Phoenix, is because in addition to the SOD that's in the barley, all those other compounds I just mentioned are in the Boomer Boost. And when you put the two of them together, you have this phenomenal effect of de-aging. Your insurance company won't have any idea when you're going to die because you might be 80 years old with the blood work of a 20-year-old. And so they can't tell when you're going to die. So they give you life insurance as if you were a 20-year-old.
Very
superior
cool.
preferred life insurance.
Very cool.
Right? Yeah. And so we've seen this with many of our customers. And the very first one, of course, was Larry, who was the co-founder with me of Boomers Forever Young. And we did all this testing with him, and he took these products. And sure enough, his CRP came down by 10 times. It came down from 3 to 0.27. And
wow.
And literally the insurance company came back and said that they thought he was 33 years old. This was when he was about, let's see, he must have been about 72 at the time when he got that last policy. Now he's 79, going to be 79 at Christmas time. He was just here today working on numerous different projects, renovation projects for his real estate properties, and working with the CPA firm, working with the various projects we're doing at Boomers Forever Young. And, he's been here at work all week long doing that and functioning perfectly as capably of the youngest of the people that work here. And so that's the one piece there that's changed dramatically. Phoenix is this concept of antioxidants, but it's not the only thing, right? There are other very important discoveries that help us with anti-aging. And there's one that in particular is this idea that there are cells, right, that are supposed to be dying off as they get older. So our body's made up of somewhere around 100 trillion cells, and each cell is going to have a lifespan, and then it's kind of programmed to accept a signal when it's time for it to die and get out of the way, so that your body can replace it with a new cell. And this programmed cell death. It's what they call apoptosis. Well, it turns out that as you age, a lot of cells will stop responding to the signal as to when it's their time. And they become very dysfunctional. Sometimes they become cancer. Sometimes they don't become cancerous, but they excrete high amounts of inflammatory cytokines. So it raises up your inflammation. And a lot of biologists that study aging think that this pre-programmed cell death delay with aging is the main reason that people die when they do, because it accelerates your inflammation as you get older. And because you're also making less trimethylglycine, superoxide dismutase, etc., you age faster as you get older. And so you're burning yourself up, and this apoptosis phenomena is making it so that your body's breaking down faster than you can rebuild it, right? But your body has an amazing capacity to rebuild because you're taking in food, you're drinking water, you're getting sunlight, You're being bathed in pulsed electromagnetic fields from the sun and from the core of the earth. And your body is constantly repairing itself in the midst of this very caustic environment that we're walking around in, to the point where we can live for a really long time, 100 years in some cases. So we know that the body is constantly repairing itself, but we also know if you're not actively participating in anti-aging science, you're burning yourself up faster than you're repairing. Well, it appears now, Phoenix, that we've passed the threshold where people now can repair themselves faster than they're burning themselves. It's almost like that log in the fire. If you had an unlimited supply of logs that you could keep feeding the fire and it just never goes out, it appears from blood work and observation and what life insurance companies are starting to see with people like Larry submitting their blood work, that there's a group of people that are repairing themselves faster than they're burning themselves up. And that's the idea. That's what anti-aging is all about. You want to flip the script from burning too fast, not repairing fast enough. And so we know what we do to reduce the burn. We just talked about that. But now, what do you do to increase the repair? And we know that the way people repair themselves is by producing new proteins, producing new stem cells. So when you produce new proteins, it's an incredibly elaborate dance of a mixture of molecules and the living force of God choreographing it. It's so complex that it's not even really possible to fathom it except through metaphor. And our body produces at least 100,000 different proteins, and every one of them has a code in your DNA. And I'll give an example, Phoenix. There's one protein that our bodies make. Mm-hmm. It's called human telomerase, and it's an anti-aging protein that we make. It is so complex that when they decided to try to figure out the configuration of this protein, it took 5 years, and it took 80 scientists and almost $100 million to figure out the structure of one of those 100,000 different proteins.
Oh my goodness.
That's how complicated these proteins are. And our DNA, which is barely visible, and you got to have an electron microscope, contains those codes. And we know that there has to be building blocks, because the code is just simply the code. It's like a blueprint that says, here's how it's made. Here's the structure of it. And when that code that's in your DNA gets expressed, it's expressed because there's a covering sheath over it that's hiding it, that gets unwrapped, and your RNA copies it and comes out into the cell. Now remember, you have 100 trillion of these cells. Imagine how small they are. And it assembles that human telomerase inside that tiny cell, right, from the code that it received. And what it does is that RNA attracts the amino acids, the minerals, and the metabolic enzymes necessary to make that molecule. And so we now know that if you can take in amino acids in straight form, which is digested protein in a sense, the building blocks of protein, and you take in the minerals, and you take in the metabolic enzymes, all of a sudden now your capability to build proteins goes up dramatically. And up until just recently, you couldn't ingest enough metabolic enzymes of enough diversity to have an impact on that. And now you can. Now you can ingest these things, and the next thing you know, you as a protein making machine just became a turbocharged machine. And in that regard, you are now building your body up faster than it's being burnt, right? The other thing is stem cells. Okay? So your body makes stem cells in your bone marrow, adult stem cells, that can become any kind of cell. They get into your bloodstream, they migrate, they become new brain cells, new heart cells, new liver cells. And we now have technology that can force your body to make more of those stem cells when you're old than you did when you were young. And in addition, we know exactly the peptide, the copper peptide, that is infused in those stem cells that makes them act young, which you make almost zero of that copper peptide when you get older. And we now have a crystalline technology that's applicable as a patch on your body that forces your body to make more of that peptide. And now you can have an abundance of adult stem cells that are jacked up on copper peptide. You have an abundance of metabolic enzymes and an abundance of antioxidants, an abundance of amino acids, and you are now a person who's rebuilding your body faster than it's burning. And that's the whole essence of the biology of aging and how we go about becoming immortal.
Wow, fantastic information, Bob. As always, you've freaked me out a couple times, but bear with me here. I got my cat on my lap here. He was trying to walk on the keyboard while you were talking. I'm like, easy there. Anyway.
I just wanted to interject something.
Yeah.
It's like, what about us cats?
Yeah. I'm like, you got 9 lives, baby. Anyway, you know what? This fascinating information, and I want to tell everyone, well, I know you're going to give us here what we need. We're rolling into the end of the hour here. And how about some contact information, how people can find you, all of that. I'll tell everyone right now, you can do what I did while Bob was talking here, and I went over to patriotintelreport.com. I clicked, and I did this while you're talking, Bob. I clicked on the lady in the blue lightning storm on the left-hand side, and yes, I have subscribed because that's a really great deal. I like that, the free shipping, so I made my order with subscription. So to get those discounts, I can't believe I've never done this before. I was just like with no subscription, but yes, everyone, I pay for my own Boomers products, and they're really great. And anyway, so please tell us how to do that. But again, everybody, you can do like I did, patriotintelreport.com, click on the lady in the blue lightning storm on the left-hand side and take you right there. But Bob, give us that contact info. And then before we roll out of here on this wonderful, wonderful weekend, leave us with your parting final words and words of wisdom for us, if you would, sir.
Sure. Yeah, so our 800 number is 861-4609. We're open Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 Eastern Time. And if you call afterwards and you want to have somebody, get back to you, you can call other times and leave a message. Monday morning, usually, Lucy and Stephanie go through the messages that got left over the weekend and they call people back on Monday morning. So you can call anytime and leave us a message, but that's when we're open. And also, just today, Phoenix, Dr. Greg Gerber stopped by our office. He's in town visiting his brother. And Dr. Gerber is a board-certified physiatrist, which is a physical medicine doctor, and he's also a competitive ocean swimmer. And he uses Myotrol and Gladiator Barley to keep himself robust while he's in his 70s, so he can compete with people much younger than him. And he came by the office today, and I got to talk to him for a while and see how he's doing and catch up on his life and how his brother made out and all that. And people are welcome to stop by. It's at 5401 Central Avenue. Call ahead so you can make sure I'm here and plan your visit so I can meet up with you. And just lastly, I would say this, if people have the time, you might want to contemplate the concept of immortality. Now, immortality, it can get pretty deep because, how long is our planet going to last? How long is our solar system going to last before the sun gets too bright and melts all the planets? How long is our galaxy going to last before the Andromeda galaxy crushes it out of existence? How long is our universe going to last? So immortality is a relative thing, but if you could live, just say modestly 300, 400, 500 years, what do you think your life would be like, and what would you do? What would you do differently right now today if you knew you were going to live for 500 years instead of 100 years? And just have fun with it. Sit and think what life would be like for you if you were as young as a 20-year-old, but you were 500 years old. What would things be like for you, right? And then if you want to, stretch it out to 1,000, maybe 10,000, maybe 100,000, maybe 1,000,000, maybe 1,000,000,000. The Earth probably still be around then. What would it be like? How far would you have elevated spiritually? Would you be able to do soul travel by that point? What would your finances be like if you invested $1 a day for the next 1,000,000,000 years, right? So there's lots of fun to be had imagining that. And then if you're the kind of person that wants to try it and wants to see if you can get your CRP down and appear to go into this suspended animation just in case we really have discovered immortality, then give us a call at that 800 number and we'll help you get started.
Fantastic. Bob, have you ever, I know you have, maybe some of our listeners have, the science fiction book Dune? Whenever you were talking about living all those years, I could just see you standing saying, "The spice must flow." And if you're familiar with that book, everyone, you know what I'm talking about, that in the book Dune. It had to do with extending your life incredibly. But anyway, fascinating topic, truthful. The thing about it is, this isn't science fiction, no, everyone. I'm joking about science fiction, but this is real. This is provable. They have clinical results on this. They have people with great great stories about this, and again, clinical results. This isn't science fiction. This is happening right now, right here. So if you want more information, again, contact Bob, go if you want the products. Remember, the subscription thing is pretty cool. I just did it today. Go to patriotintelreport.com, click on the lady in the blue lightning storm on the left-hand side. Bob, I want to thank you so much, sir, and I'm so happy to hear that things worked out well for you in the business through all of these storms, and you guys are safe. And thoughts and prayers to everyone who's not doing so well there, and hopefully it'll get resolved soon and back to normal, even though it will take some time. And I just really appreciate you taking the time to come here like you always do every 2 weeks, and hopefully in 2 weeks more you will. And I just really appreciate it, and I know our listeners and your customers do also. Thank you so much, Bob.
Well, thank you, Phoenix. The pleasure was mine. I'll look forward to our next talk.
I most certainly will also. It's educating, it's entertaining, sometimes it's terrifying. Anyway, it's great. Anyway, thank you, Bob, and God bless, brother.
Bless you too, Phoenix.
All right, everyone, that is it, your Patriot Health Report for the 19th of October, 2024. Remember, contact Bob if you want more information. Until the next Patriot Health Report, remember this: without your health, you have nothing. It doesn't matter what you have, where you live, what type of toys you have. If you do not have your health, nothing else matters. So be sure and do the best that you can to remain healthy, become healthy, so you can be the best that you can be for yourself and for those whom you love. All right, until the next time, everyone, Phoenix and Bob out. God bless.